Hello YouTube, Infinite Magicraid community, Gandalf here. Very surprising change, but I guess a positive change due to technical limitations. Many of you may have noticed that as we skip content, a lot of the time the computation run for a really long time, especially with a lot of the 5v5 battles when computation run really long time, errors may happen in some of the battle results. So the devs actually went ahead to address this by simplifying the amount of computation it needs to do every single turn. I think this is a very positive game to increase game stability and focus on the skills and mechanic interaction of heroes to ensure those are working properly. So a lot of the emblems now are simplified, and overall I feel like it's most of them have gotten better and a lot more stable and useful in the long term. So in this video, we'll go through all of the changes to these emblems and how that might impact your hero emblem selection. Now, for the first changes is to these two. They have become a lot more straightforward. One is just direct damage. The other one is dot damage. This used to be full health, and this used to be when attacking targets with shields. Now, we won't do as much damage to heroes with shield. However, this means you'll usually select one or the other. And this perhaps make Berserker Blood a little bit more favorable than before, and just straight up going for more damage at the downside of taking a little bit more damage. But there's so much damage reduction in the game that I feel like taking a little bit extra damage isn't that bad if you're going for just straight up more damage. On the next row, there are no changes to these. However, there are changes to all of these now. So before, this was pretty much checking every single time, right? You're checking whether or not you have a buff, and then when you have a buff, you do damage. Now, after receiving any buff, straight up 4.5, right? Before this, this was like checking every turn. Now you don't have to check it every turn. Here, okay, once enemies inflict with a control debuff, direct damage by themselves increases. Cannot be stacked, but you no longer checking it every single turn. This is really good because that means as long as your direct damage dealing hero, like it doesn't just after any enemy is inflicted with a control, direct damage is done by self. So I guess you just need to do a direct, as long as you have a control effect, this is really good for direct damage dealers. Here, this is now straight up 9% until battle ends. This used to run out, I think, after 5 turns, I think. This was, let me just check. Yeah, this was like, oh, sorry, this was used to have to check the whether or not the enemy has a dot. Now you don't have to. It's just as soon as you put a dot, damage goes up 9%. So in a lot of ways, this reduces the condition you need to check on the boss every single turn, right? As soon as you trigger the emblem, it is already part of the computation permanently. Next part, all damage now increases by 6%. Before, this was always checking whether or not your target was 5%. So you can see pretty much all the conditions are getting removed, right? Here, dot damage straight up goes up to 9% instead of checking for 50% health. This doesn't check if the enemy is higher health. So this one's way easier. Here, direct damage is straight up more. So this makes these less conditional, and they're always in effect. So making it a lot stronger. I see this as a very positive buff. I think in terms of choices, it's probably just a little bit harder here now, and I think making Berserker Blood a more relevant option. If you don't want, then you're pretty much wasting a slot, because most heroes, but if you have a hero, for example, like Little Jack, where you have a blended direct damage and dot damage, for mixed damage, probably it's better to pick both, but this gives you just way more value for overall damage increased. Okay. In the middle section, these two conditions changed. This used to be like you have to check whether your defense is higher than an enemy, and this one has to check if you're, I think there was a condition for around whether or not you are above 50% HP or something. So these conditions all are removed, and straight up you have this. I feel like this actually potentially makes the defense tree a little bit more favorable, because these two do feel relatively nice. So if you're choosing defense as like a secondary tree. Now, enhancement to a lot of the buffs here are also better. As soon as you receive a shield, afterwards you have 9%. You have 6% damage reduction straight up. No longer all have to check every single time. So this also makes things a little bit easier, because if you can start the battle with a shield, that helps, not having to check it every turn. Here, then over here, healing effect. This is no longer checking whether or not your target, your ally, has that HP or not. Then the next one over here is straight up self-healing, healing effect, and shield effect also goes up. All right, so healing effect, self-healing effect. This is increased. What's really nice to call out here around healing is, right, you have healing effect here. You have healing effect over here. You have, I think, do we have another healing over here, right? You get healing and shielded effect. Again, this has changed. A lot of these things are used to be conditional, but all of these things now immediately add to your stats. So if you notice, there's heroes like, for example, like we have trouble getting to 150 healing effect on heroes like Freud or Mavila, right? Like now it's really easy to get to those higher healing effect percentages, because healing effect isn't very common on stats. You can only get it on equipment, you can't, or a primary stat for the mark artifact. Now with the support tree, you can get a lot of healing effect that is directly adding to your stats, right? So this is a huge help. Effective hit also here. Effective hit used to be an issue. Now you can actually just pick this one and get 8% effective hit. This used to be the one that you get effective hit from being faster than an enemy. Now it's just straight up effective hit. This also helps with getting effective hit from that condition perspective. Over here, before, this was this used to be making your attributes last an extra turn. Now is just whenever you're inflicting, you increase it up to 5 times. So you can get 3 plus 15, so 15 extra speed. Before, this one used to give you, I think, 7 speed, or is it not up to 9 speed? Let me just quickly check. What was it before? Yeah, it used to be 9. So you could have gotten 45 speed, but only for, I think, 5 turns, up to 5 times, right? For only 1 turn. So it constantly checks, right? I guess that's a little bit of a nerf, but this becomes now a permanent increase. As soon as the buff is inflicted, you get 15 extra speed stat, which is kind of nice. Okay. And I think this covers, I think I've covered all of the changes. I think this means, I think the biggest impact as you think about your emblems, pretty much any of your your heroes like, Mavila, that requires healing effect. So right now you can see that I only have 69% healing effect. We're just going to do her blessing right now, do her emblem right now again, because now I think having these will be much better. And of course, I think, having tenacity and all damage received is better as well. So we're going to go straight up, get more HP. You want her on more healing and more shield for sure. Dot damage reflected. So pick defense. Maybe receive more healing, since she's going to bear a lot of damage, or actually reduce. Yeah. Here, selfish. After, get more healing, shielding effect. Here, I'm getting more healing effect straight up. More healing effect. More healing effect. There's a chance to reduce cooldown. Effective hit, not so important. Here, just get a little bit extra speed here. Probably that. Reduce the damage taken. Huh? Floor's emblems are maxed. Okay, yeah. Okay, there we go. Well, yeah, I guess she could use a little bit of effective hit. But over here, when it's reduced by more by a skill, yeah, restore some health. Here, I think these ones all remain unchanged. Let's take effective hit and just give her more HP. Let's go back, right? And here you can see these numbers baked directly into healing effect. I basically got 15 extra healing effect, but just simply by moving emblem around, and this 15 wasn't there before. So especially for those heroes, great opportunity for you to adjust, and for a lot of the DPS heroes. So do remember, take a look at your emblems and see what's changed and make those changes so you can optimize your heroes. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Gandalf out.